Awaken to hair growth. Awaken to hair growth because there is possibility to get your hair back. Awaken to hair growth because we're not told that we're able to conquer and overcome alopecia. Awaken to hair growth because I want to be a positive light and beacon for you because I've healed my alopecia and now I help others do the same with different types of alopecia, men, women, children of all ages, of all races and ethnicities. Hello, and welcome to the 100th episode of Alopecia Angel podcast. And I'm your host, Johanna Dullman. I am so thrilled and so excited to be here because I have lots of news to share. First and foremost, it's the 100th episode. And because it is the 100th episode, I wanted to make this more significant. I wanted to tell you exactly the 20 things that I thought have helped me in my journey. But before I get into that list, I wanted to announce that I will be speaking at, probably for me at least, the #1 health and wellness conference in the world. And this is the biohacking conference that will be hosted in Dallas, Texas in 2024, May of 2024. So if you want to join, see me there. Or learn more about biohacking, learn more about healing yourself, learn more about how others heal themselves and all the gizmos and gadgets and everything else that goes along with it, then I highly welcome you to join and to attend. And I will say I'm a huge fan of this movement of self-empowerment. I'm a huge fan of taking things and taking back the control of our health and our destination, not our destiny, but our destination in every area of life. And this is a cumulative amount of people who want to upgrade their life, upgrade their health, who want to heal naturally because them, just like you, just like me, we've gone through the conventional route and it's not working. We've gone through the conventional route for so many things and we've put our trust in them. And for many things, the trust has been broken, or there's a lot of misinformation, or there's a lot of business to be made. There's a lot of financial backing. There's a lot of people gaining and profiting from certain areas within the healthcare systems, but yet people are still sicker than ever. Children are getting more and more sick at an earlier. By the time they're 9 and 10, they're already having diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis and a bunch of other things that they shouldn't be having to go through. It's a chain reaction of sorts. It's not just pinpointing healthcare system, but it's a bigger piece of the puzzle. And there's many pieces to this puzzle of how to heal. But in healing, you take back the control of your own health. And when you learn more, you do more. And you do more better for you and for your families. And so I'm a huge believer. I'm a huge biohacker. I truly believe in it. I am so honored to be speaking at this conference next year, May 29th, I believe it is, through June 1st, 2024 in Dallas, Texas at this premier event. So if you don't know nothing about it, I highly recommend that you Google this biohacking conference and read all about it and consider coming because it's a life-changing event. It really is. Being in a room with thousands of like-minded people, hundreds of like-minded people, and all these different sessions from everything from hair loss to stem cells to so many more areas of life where we have the opportunity now to learn more and do more and also upgrade ourselves in less time, but then also with our own path, with our own guide, with our own tools and strategies. This is huge because this makes it possible for everybody. It really does. And so sometimes what you think is only available for the elite or for the 1%, it's no longer true. It really is available to everyone. And you just have to believe and move forward. So that was a huge, momentous moment for me to be accepted as a speaker, but then also to be speaking at this event. So I'm really excited. I've been speaking at other areas within other organizations and corporations, spreading my mission, spreading my vision for what's possible for all of us to heal from alopecia. And I believe wholeheartedly that it's possible for anyone who wants to. Right? They just need to do it. And the other piece to this is that, you're in the right spot if you want to continue to heal and learn more. So thank you for supporting me. Thank you for joining me on this journey because health is a journey and we can take baby steps. But if you're like me, you're taking the aggressive approach and you want to move faster and you want to get things done quicker And I believe all of us want to feel better, look better, and heal in less time. And this is exactly why I do what I do. And I created the program that I did and created the stepping stones so that you don't have to do this alone. You can do this holding my hand, because just like many of us want to travel to foreign exotic countries, but we also, take advantage of tours and tour guides, because even if it's something as, a food tour in Italy to see where the best pizza is or the best, any food that Italy has to offer, it's the same thing of like, maybe how do I get to the Amazon? Do I really want to travel there? And if I do, maybe I get a guide, right? And so trust in me, I'm your guide for healing your hair loss. And I love, love, love all my clients, but I love, love, love what I do. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the raffle, and we will be announcing those winners. Actually, I'll be emailing them. So you have about a few more days left. The cutoff is on the 22nd. You have a few more days left to put in your entry for the raffle. And we are raffling off gift cards of $75 to $500 US dollar denominations. And this will be raffled off. And what you have to do to enter is to leave a review on Apple Podcasts for the Alopecia Angel podcast. So these are the last few days that you have. And then now we can get into my list of knowledge. As I was making my list, I realized that this list is going to look and be a lot longer for a podcast. So let me go ahead and just give you 10 things that I've learned throughout the process of healing myself, and then of course of healing thousands of others. But then also I'll split it up for the next podcast with the last 10 in any given order, not order of importance, but just of how the ideas have flown. But one thing I've learned is to never settle. And it's very easy to give up, especially when we're not seeing results, or especially when we want to try to do it ourselves, or, whatever happens. But I'd say never settle. If you want hair, if you want health, if you want a brand new shiny car, if you want the house, if you want whatever it is that you want, the promotion or any new job or et cetera, never settle. Now, understand that there are probably stepping stones, right? It's like you can't get an MBA overnight. There's stepping stones. You got to graduate from high school, you got to graduate from college, and then you can go on to get your MBA, right? There's stepping stones. But at the same time, understand that everything has a stepping stone. Everything has a prerequisite, and that's okay. But never, deter your eyes or take your eyes off the prize, because that prize for you guys is hair growth. Even for me, it's hair growth. My goal now is to grow my hair down to my waist. That's the goal. And with curly hair, that takes a lot longer than with straight hair. But that's the goal, is to grow it longer and, get it down to my waist, because why not? That's the goal. And so never settle. Never settle for what you want, and keep working towards what you want. And the next thing I would say is find help. Find people who've been there, done that. And in many ways, I'm tooting my own horn, because I've been there and done that with alopecia. I've been there and done that, helping thousands of others get their hair. And what you see on the podcast in terms of interviews, and what you see on the website with success stories, is just a small portion of what's behind the scenes of people who have healed and who don't want to be named, and who don't want to go on camera, and who don't want to share their story. But understand that there's a bigger population out there who has healed, but because of shame or anything else, they just don't want to say anything. And I will say, I do treat a lot of celebrities. And because of that, I got to keep quiet. I can't say things. I can't say, oh, I'm treating this person, I'm treating that person, because people have, a reputation and they don't want people to know. It's just a given thing of fact. But I would say, seek out people who've been there, done that. And this is for anything. When I had a miscarriage, I sought out somebody who had been there, done that over 10 times. And she worked helping others with miscarriages. When I want to get something, or when I want results faster, I go not to try to reinvent the wheel, but I go and I even buy courses myself. I buy courses, I buy books, and I try to learn as much as possible. And I execute at the same time, or even better, if I can get somebody else to do it for me, even better. This is the nature, because the situation is we only have so much time in a day, in a year, in a lifetime. And if we want to accomplish so many goals, guess what? We're going to have to get a team. And I have a team, and I'm so grateful for the Alopecia Angel team, because I can't do the social media. I can't be editing my podcast. I can't be uploading and taking care of marketing and customer service and everything else that goes along with, having a business. And the thing is, you may own a house, but you don't know, potentially, right? I don't know, but potentially you don't know how to roof, or how to lay tile, or how to renovate a kitchen, or how to fix the plumbing, plumbing or the electricity, the internet, or anything else that happens within a house. So in the same thing, if you want results in any situation, get the help. Get the help, whether it's hair loss, whether it's weight loss, whether it's learning a new instrument, whether it's, voice acting classes, playing the piano, a new sport, whatever it is, get the help. Even for Pilates. When I started doing Pilates for the first time ever, I had private classes. Why? Because when you have the private classes, they tailor it to you, to your capability, to your ability. You're not thrown in a class with a one size fits all and assuming that everyone knows exactly what they're doing, because they don't. And I will say, having taught Pilates later on and getting certified, is that when I see people who come to class with zero training in Pilates, on the reformer especially, they don't know where to engage certain muscles. And I could tell that they're doing it right. And from the outside view, it looks like they're doing it correctly, but they're not, because I can see exactly where the muscles, how the leg is, and if they're adjusting it just so slightly or whatever has to happen for the body to accentuate and actually take on the muscle that's forming during the Pilates movement. And one way is to lift the leg, and another way is to lift the leg slowly with control. You'll learn this in ballet. I took ballet classes when I was really young. And even though you may be pointing the foot and you think you're doing it right, the teacher's going to call you out and say, nope, it's a little more 2-3 degrees that way, 4 degrees this way. So even though you think you're doing it right, you're more than likely you're doing it wrong. And so this is why get the help. So this would be my number 2 position to talk about of things that I've learned along the way, is to get the help. Don't be ashamed of getting or asking for help, because it's okay. We don't know it all, and that's okay too. But at the same time, you want to get results. And so in order to get the results, you need to find people who've been there, done that, whether it's to start the sourdough bread making, to start your organic garden, or anything else that you want in life. You have to go with people who've been there, done that. I really do believe in that. I myself have mentors. I buy courses, I buy books. It's not everything do it yourself, because a lot of times when you do it yourself, A, it takes longer. B, you're wasting time many times with blind spots, just like in ballet, just like in healing hair loss or anything else. But then C, it's going to take you a lot longer. So for example, if I can train private one-on-one with my Pilates instructor, and then guess what? Then I can do the group classes, and then I know that I'm doing it correctly. That's a huge savings, because I already know where to engage. I already know where I'm going wrong. I already know where my legs want to shift or where my hips want to shift to misalign the body, etc. And so this is key to understanding yourself, but from an outside perspective. So the next thing I would like to talk about is to be coachable, because if you're not open to feedback, if you're not going to be open-minded, then guess what? You're going to be stuck where you are in a mediocre, very average situation, whether that's hair loss, whether that's in playing the piano or building your dream car or, renovating your kitchen or anything else. You're going to be plateaued at a very mediocre, average situation. And you don't want that. You don't want average hair. You don't want mediocre results. You want full results. Don't you? This is what I'm talking about. So you have to be coachable. You have to be open-minded, because if you're not open-minded, and guess what? That in it of itself is going to hold you back. And so my next thing about that is effort in, results out. So effort in is very important, because, for example, when I was healing my alopecia, I had a very aggressive approach, very, very aggressive. And I knew I was going to get hair. I just didn't know that it was going to take me 4 years. And at the end of it, I was really upset, because I was just like, okay, yeah, I have hair. It's coming. I'm healing. But at the same time, it took me 4 years. And I put in lots of effort. And this is why I say, if you can go to somebody who's been there, done that, this saves you time and money, frustration, and anything else, because you could be doing something right, thinking you're doing it right, and it's wrong, 100% wrong. And I know people who've been on their alopecia journeys for years, for decades, trying one thing, trying another, trying one thing, trying another, and still mediocre results. But the questions you got to ask is, okay, have any of the people that you've gone to been there, done that? And how many times have they repeated the process with others? So again, it's not one size fits all, but in my case, not only have I healed myself, but I've healed thousands of others. And, anything from children to adults to men to women, all different races and ethnicities. I don't know too many other people who can say that, and who say that proudly, because it's possible at any point in your life, even when you're 65. My oldest client is 75, and she's in the program right now. So it's just like, it's never too late. And that leads me to my next learning lesson, is that any habit, any skill can be learned at any age. Any habit, any skill can be learned at any age. And that's huge. I know somebody who's a type 2 diabetic, and we modified the program for him. And lo and behold, now he's off his insulin for the first time in over 40 years. 40 years, 40 people, 40 years, first time off of insulin. And he's healthier. He's lost 20 pounds. He looks better. He feels better. And he just had 2 back-to-back surgeries, one on his knee as for a knee replacement. And the other one, he had to get an amputation, unfortunately. But it's because he's been doing the wrong thing for the last 40 years. And all of a sudden, then, he switched over and he's seen better results. But that's the other thing. It's like, you need to be coachable. You need to be open-minded, which goes along with it. Sometimes people are not open-minded. And sometimes people say, oh, old dogs don't learn new tricks. Well, this one's an old dog. He's 73 and he's learning new tricks. And he's seeing the results. And that's a huge step, because who knows, maybe we've even extended his lifeline for more years. Whereas before, he was definitely on the trajectory of getting more amputations, more heart surgeries, and more complications with his diabetes. You know what I mean? So it's never too late. And at any age, you can learn a new skill and a new habit. And I'd say, even on top of that, my grandma, she started doing Pilates at 75. It's never too late to do something new and something better for yourself. Never, never, never too late. I would say, to that same extent, don't dip your toe in the water and think that you've done it all. And what I mean by this is, like, there's a lot of people say, oh, I've done it all. I've tried this and I've tried that. But what they'll do, they'll just dip their toe in the water just a little bit, and they're not getting fully wet. I have an analogy that I like to say is like, look, you can read all you want about learning how to swim, but you're not going to be able to truly learn how to swim until you get in the water fully, getting your hair wet, getting fully drenched in the water. Same with scuba diving. You can read all about it, but until you're underwater, under 20 feet, 30 feet, 50, 60, 80 feet deep, you won't understand what that looks like being underwater until you actually do it. And this is important, because the same thing goes for anything you want to achieve. And the same thing happens, especially for alopecia. So you really have to not dip your toe in and go all in. And just because you did one thing twice and another thing once or twice doesn't mean all of a sudden you're done, you're healed, you've been there, done that. Nope, sorry. That's not exactly what that means. Been there, done that means you've seen the results, you've come to fruition, and you're a semi-expert, or you're an expert actually in it. You've done more than 10,000 hours playing the piano, doing something, etc. It takes more than just once or twice. Oh, are you a skier? I've done it once and twice. I did it when I was 8 years old. I did it again when I was in my 20s. I'm not a skier, but guess what? I would have to start from the bottom again. I'd have to start with a lesson, because that's what it is. Even with scuba diving, I'm a certified scuba diver, but it's been more than 5 years now, maybe more, that I haven't gone scuba diving. So I would need a refresher before I go in the water. A, because it's for my own benefit, but B, it's also to protect my health, my well-being, and also the company who I would go with. So scuba diving is great, but we also need, many times things have changed since then. Again, don't dip your toe in the water thinking you've done it all, when you truly haven't, and you haven't gone deep enough. You've just skimmed the surface. Skimming the surface doesn't get you anywhere, and skimming the surface doesn't get you results. The next thing I would say is run your own race. And running your own race is huge, because many times we like to compare. We want to compare ourselves with our friends. We want to compare ourselves with anyone and everyone. And this is not it. This is not the way to do it. And I'll tell you, at the time that I was going through my alopecia, yes, I met somebody as well who had alopecia, and who had actually alopecia for a lot longer than me. She had it since she was 9, and she was 26 at the time. So this was over 10 years of having alopecia and dealing with the vicious cycles. And yet I healed sooner than she did. Yes, granted, it took me 4 years, 4 traumatic, extraneous years, but I healed a lot sooner than she did. And yes, I shared my learnings with her. She healed briefly, but then, life gets in the way, and she didn't follow the program as she should have. Consistency is key. You need to be consistent. And so, for example, you can't go to the gym twice. This is the dipping the toe analogy. You can't go to the gym twice and think, oh, I'm fit. Oh, I'm done for the year. You're not done for the year. You're scratching the surface. Just because you ran twice on the treadmill doesn't mean, and doesn't, garner you to go ahead and eat that cheesecake. It doesn't garner you and allow you to not do any more exercise. You need to continuously be exercising. And so this is the situation. Consistency is key. We can't just let go. You got to be consistent. And the same is with you wanting to run your own race. You got to stay in your lane. Your race is going to look different than everybody else. Why is this? Because it's a tailored approach to everybody else. Your root cause, my root cause is going to be different. My blind spots to your blind spots, totally different. There is no comparison. There is no compare and contrast. There's none of that. It's just your own race. And it's your own race because we all have different levels that we want to approach this at, baby steps versus being very aggressive. Also, I didn't have a manual. You have a manual now. It's just going to look very different. And so I hope you understand that everyone is on their own race, and we're all here to learn our own lessons in life. We really are. I would say the next lesson that I learned throughout this process is to make space for change. And what do I mean by making space for change? Making space for change means allowing more time for change to happen, giving more time for change to happen. So for example, if I dedicate, let's say 2 hours a day to watching Netflix and TV or reading the paper or talking to friends, I should maybe minimize that and dedicate those 2 hours to my healing process, dedicate those 2 hours to my growth, dedicate those 2 hours to my new skill, dedicate those 2 hours to my new habits. Does that make sense? And so making space for change, because if you're like, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm just too busy. Well, too busy also gets you stuck. Too busy also keeps you in a limited situation where you're in the same spot, mediocre, average, and not getting to where you want. And I know what you want is real results. I know what you want is full healing, but you got to make time and space for it. Just like a new relationship. If you are dating somebody new, or if you have a new friend or a new plant, you have to make space for it, in the house physically or in the apartment where you live. But then you also have to make space in a new pot once it grows out of that pot. And just like the plant that's in a pot and it gets too big for the pot, and it needs a bigger pot to grow and spread out. In the same vein, we can limit ourselves. So if you're limiting the plant, it's not going to be able to grow more because it's in too small of a pot. But once you transplant it, then it's got space to grow. It'll grow bigger, taller, with more leaves, et cetera, et cetera. The same thing goes for us humans. We need space. We need to make space, make time for what we want in life, for our priorities. And that maybe is readjusting the current priorities and making us a priority, making your health a priority, making your hair loss a priority, and not just accepting the status quo and not just accepting the nonsense that I hear or see online, where it's just like, oh, accept it, accept alopecia. There's no need to. Now, if you want to, you can, but you don't have to. You don't have to accept it. You can learn to heal and be done with this once and for all. But we also have to make space for change. So that's a life lesson that I've learned throughout this process. I would say what I like to do around every 3 months, 4 months, and especially around my birthday and around the end of the year, is to reevaluate your needs, your wants, your desires, because this will shift. This will shift as you grow older, as you have these challenges, for example, hair loss. And once you grow out of that and heal, your mind shifts, your priorities shift, everything shifts. And that too can create new shifts and new realities for you. But at the same time, it can reevaluate what you truly need, what you truly want, and what you truly desire. Before, when I was a kid, I would want, need, desire certain things or certain experiences or certain whatever. And now I don't. I don't need, want, or truly desire any of that. My needs, wants, and priorities have shifted because I've changed, because my priorities have shifted, because my desires have shifted. And so keep it in mind, and reevaluating what this looks like for you is necessary at every stage of life. But I'd say reevaluate at least once a year, if not at least twice or 3 times a year, because this will also shift with your community. This will also shift with people who you interact with. This will also shift with people who up-level you, right? Or people who bring you down, or naysayers, or people who are potentially not on that trail. And I'll tell you, I have this friend since I was 14 years old. We met at boarding school, and she was my first friend. She was older than me. She must have been a senior and I was like a freshman. It was that type of thing. She held my hand, she showed me the ropes, and she became my first friend, and we're still friends now. And we're both in our 40s. So it's a beautiful thing because she's truly my only friend since I'm, a teenager, and my only friend, from that young of age, right? Just want to clarify that. But in any case, we were talking and she actually text messaged me and I got it this morning and she told me, hey, Johanna, I have lots of hair loss. And I had offered her to do the program a while back. Way while back, because I've seen her health decline where it's scary decline. And it's not even hair loss at the time. It was a bunch of other stuff. But now on top of all of that, now it's also hair loss. And of course, now that it's visible, now that she sees the hair loss, now it's like she wants to do something out of the box. She relied and depended so much of her other health issues on medical doctors. I can't say for sure because we haven't really spoken the nitty-gritty details of it, but I'm assuming that they haven't led her down the right path. And she hasn't, even though she's wanted to, she hasn't gone down the right path because I see her continuously decline in health. And this is unfortunate, but I'm happy to help her. I'm happy to help all of you. I'm happy to help. And the thing is, it's like, this is not just one day to the next. This is years in the making, years in the making. Those habits that we think are healthy for us are holding us back. Truly, truly, truly. I think seeing is believing. And I think now that she sees me at my age and not having issues with my pregnancy and not having all these other health complications that she does have because we're very similar in age, she starts to think, okay, what is she doing that's keeping her healthy versus me, right? And so you start to have this comparison and contrast. And this is important because maybe that person is doing something that you should be doing, right? And the thing is, it's like consistency is key, but at the same time, it's like success is inevitable. If you follow a proven path, success is inevitable. And this is what I'm here to showcase, that people at any age can heal. People, if they want to, can heal. But the thing is, it's like a lot of times you're thinking outside the box. A lot of times you're doing things outside the box. And so you can't think that the conventional route is the only route, because it's not. There's many other routes, and not all the routes lead to success. And so this is something to keep in mind. And this is, I think, an eye-opening moment for her, a humbling moment for her, because she had mentioned to me that she likes to do things herself. She's a type A. She likes to do things herself. And this is a humbling moment when you ask for help, even though I'm more than happy to give it to her. But at the same time, there is a vulnerable element to this. People don't want to be perceived as weak. And it's not. It's actually a sign of strength when you ask for help. It's a sign of strength in wanting to understand more when you ask questions. And before, I used to be the one to never ask questions in school or anything. I was like, oh yeah, I got it, because I wanted to look cool. And now I ask a gazillion questions and so much more, where I almost frustrate and annoy people. But with that laugh, I can guarantee you I don't care. I don't care at all to annoy people because, hey, I want to understand. I want to understand further. I want to, peel back those layers. I want to really understand what this looks like. And so this is necessary in order to move forward, right? In any direction with anything that you're looking at. So in this case, people come to me when they're ready. People come to me, because they see the proof in the pudding, and it's not just one day to the next. It's years. It's years that I've continued to have my hair. It's years that I continue to have my health. It's years that I continue to thrive and only do better. So I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to help my friend, but truly grateful of the opportunity to help you and all my listeners and all my clients as well. Last but not least, in my first part series of these 10 items that I've learned throughout this time of healing myself of alopecia and healing others, is to give yourself more compassion, to give yourself more credit. And I say this and I breathe deeply because as a mom, I feel this more now than ever. As a new mom, I should say. I feel this more now than ever, where I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm not being enough, doing enough for my child, because there's always more to do, right? It's like housework or fixing up your house. There's always more to do. And in the same vein, throughout my challenges with alopecia, I also feel like even though I was exhausting myself 16 to 18 hours a day for 4 years and on, I feel like I wasn't doing enough. I still felt like I was failing. And what I know now, what I see now, is that failure leads to success. It's not the other way around. Success doesn't breed on more success. It's learning from those mistakes, tweaking, and seeing how you can do things better. And so failure actually leaves clues, and failure in alopecia for me left me so many clues where they became like aha moments because I was so obsessed thinking about this and like redoing my steps and redoing like every inch of like what my process and my strategy looked like, that I was just like, okay, aha, this is it. Aha, this is it. And it's just like, it came to me. It just flooded to me. And many times when I'm reading a parenting book or when I'm reading a new book on health or any topic, sometimes ideas just like come to me in a flashlight type of essence. They flash into me. But what I know now is that giving myself more compassion also allows me to understand where I've gone wrong and understand where I need to do better, because there's always room for improvement. As a mom, as someone healing alopecia or anything else, whether it's building your house or building your family or anything else, there's always room for improvement on how to do things better. Because if you keep using the same strategy, you're going to be getting the same results. And on top of it, that's the exact definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting different results. Well, if you continue to live the way you do, if you continue to eat the way you do, and you're getting the same results, and you're like, well, what's going on? I started using this shampoo. Well, what's going on? I've started taking biotin. Well, what's going on? None of that's going to help. None of that's going to work. You need a full strategy to help you get to your results. So give yourself compassion, but at the same time, be aware that the same trajectory is not going to lead you to those results. Some of these blend in together, because from there, I'd say, go back to number 2 and get the help from people who've been there, done that, right? If I wanted to go to the moon, I would be interviewing people who've been there, done that, people who've already been to the moon, people who've been on Apollo 11 and been on Apollo 10 and have, worked with NASA and this type of thing. If that was my goal, I would be talking to them, to astronauts, right? How can I be an astronaut? How can I go to the moon? So in the same thing, it goes back though, too, with dipping your toe. Don't think you're going to try one thing, another, and one thing and another, one thing and another, and expect the same results, because that's the same strategy. If you look at it overall, even though it's different tactics, it's all the same strategy. It's a one-size-fits-all approach. So believe that there's a tailored approach for you, and believe and give yourself that compassion that you need, because a lot of times too, it's mindset and limiting beliefs that hold us back. But I'll save that for another podcast episode. This has already been super lengthy, but I'm really, really excited because I'm sure you can hear in my voice that there's so much more to do, so much more to grow. And that also leads me to the next thing. It's like, if you feel something here, like pulling you towards to do something, and it's an obvious like move, then do so. And with that, I'll leave you for the next podcast. We'll talk about the last 10 things that I've seen, gone through, and during my time of healing alopecia, but then also healing hundreds, thousands of others, because these lessons are huge. As someone on the outside looking into your situation, and then also someone who's been in your shoes, is also a beautiful perspective. So again, let me go ahead and just read through these just so you have them. Number 1, never settle. Number 2, find help, people who've been there, done that, to get you the results that you're looking for. Number 3, reevaluate your needs, wants, and desires constantly, maybe every 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 12 months, but do it. Number 4, make space for change. Number 5, be open-minded and coachable. I can't say how important that is. Number 6, effort in, results out. So the more effort you put in, the more results you'll get, guaranteed. Number 7, any habit skill can be learned at any age. So don't give yourself the excuse and the backdoor option to leave or to give up by saying, oh, I'm too old. Oh, I'm too this, or I'm too that, because those are all excuses. You can do anything at any point, at any time you want. Number 8, give yourself more compassion. Number 9, don't dip your toe in and think that you've been there, done it all, because you haven't. If you don't have the results, you don't have the knowledge. So don't dip your toe saying that you've covered just the superficial level, that you've already done it and it's squashed and it's done. It's not done. There's more to do. Number 10, run your own race, because running your own race will allow you to be focused, zero in on what you need, on your needs, on your wants, on your desires, but then also on your blind spots, on what's holding you back from that next level, from that next hair growth, from that next promotion, from that next goal you want to accomplish. You can do anything, and your success is inevitable. I can't wait to speak to you next time. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Alopecia Angel podcast, a positive light in healing alopecia. You can do this, and we can help. Spread the word that reversing alopecia is possible by telling your friends and family.